You have to have a true love and a true curiosity for music to work in a music store. There's literally not one day I wake up and don't want to come into the shop or don't want to work. My name is Sherrod Bynes. I live in Tallahassee, Florida. I own Retrofit Records. Vinyl Fever was the largest independently owned record store in the southeast of the country for probably 20 or so years, but they ended up closing in 2010. There was literally nowhere to go buy like a brand new record. Like if you wanted a new record, there was not one single place in our city that actually sold them. When they closed, it left a big gap, you know? I was working as a graphic artist and art director here at a company. And then, a few years in, I realized that, I could be working for myself, being my own boss. So I felt at the time there was probably like room for like a small independent shop that could, maybe possibly sustain itself, especially when Vinyl Fever ended up closing. And then I opened my shop in 2011.
Coming in here and seeing all the artwork and more importantly, the diversity of music, first of all, I was like, this is so dope.
In Tallahassee, there was like a thriving punk and garage rock scene and a lot of cool like DIY venues. I think some of that kind of went by the wayside, and that's also where I feel like Sherrod is kind of bringing some of that back and kind of bringing that back to the community.
A lot of the records you see in mainstream stores are not what you'd find if you came to a record store like this,
Sherrod is open and willing to talk about any type of music that you're interested in.
I consistently and constantly ask my customers like what they're listening to. I appreciate that as the owner of the shop because they're putting me on the things that I don't know about. This is an artist, Ivan Av. He's a rapper from Oslo, Norway. My best friend put me onto this guy a few years ago, and this is like one of my all-time favorite records. This dude, contemporary hip hop, highly recommend this album. This is probably my favorite punk band of all time, Bad Brains, and this is an OG copy of Rock for Light, them at their peak. Highly recommended. This is one of my favorite records. It's from trumpet player Lee Morgan. It's Search for the New Land, like classic jazz album, but that's definitely one of my favorite records.
When I come in here, it's not just a normal or like retail store where you kind of get what you need and leave. I think the big difference with Retrofit is that whole family feeling at this point. People coming in and out, you'll see familiar faces.
This is such a safe spot to kind of like explore what you like, what you don't like. Music is such like a universal language. You can be in one space and so many different people can like get along because there's something for everyone here.
I always want our doors to be open to people to feel welcome to come here to the shop. And this is a spot that they want around. In the reverse, I want to be able to support the community as well.
I can remember one particular instance where we had a really bad hurricane and most of Tallahassee was without power. Retrofit had power, and he actually opened his door and allowed people to kind of come in and just cool off for a little bit in the record store.
Sherrod is a pillar in the community, especially with music, and particularly the Black community.
I think a lot of times as a Black individual, you may not see a lot of people in power. So I think that the fact that Sherrod has his shop and he's showing people that it is possible to live your dreams, it's just great that people can see that and know it is a possibility.
If this was a franchise, that money wouldn't be in the Tallahassee community. That money would go into somebody's corporate bank account and my community would never see it. So Black ownership is about keeping that money within your community so we can have better schools, better opportunities. That is why we need Black businesses.
Having a Black-owned record store gives a Black voice in a way that most people don't see, especially in Tallahassee.
A person of color being in this setting is unfamiliar to a lot of people. They don't know that Black people like music, or they can own an independent music store and like punk and also like jazz and soul and we're a rare breed, you know? There's somewhere between 1,500 to 2,000 independent music stores in the country. Of those, there's less than 30 black-owned. And even rarer did I see women, or black women, or women of color. Those people haven't been represented in those spaces, you know, and I think it's important to be seen and know that, yes, we do exist, you know? "11 years ago, I could have probably never guessed that this would be my path, this would be what I'm doing. We're not corporate, we're just people who have a passion for music and decided to, you know, take our passion and try to make a livelihood out of it. I'm constantly encouraging anyone who will listen to me that they should also be following their passion. And it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really hard, but it's all worth it, you know, I feel like.